Hey, I just want to thank everybody for taking time out of their busy schedule for checking us out. This is the podcast, The Life in the Mirror. My name is Rico. We have Rocco, and today we have Pastor Tim here for a glorious day. And I thank him for taking time out his day, spending time with us. Today, we're going to be talking about the Red Sea.
And Pastor Tim, this is church BP, people who watch the podcast. This is my pastor, Pastor Tim. And Pastor Tim, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell a little about yourself?
Well, thank you, Duraco and Dorico, for having me on Life in the Mirror podcast. It's such an honor to join you here today and your audience. I pastor a non-denominational church in Bloomington Normal called the Tabernacle. We call it the Tab because it's a lot easier to spell. So it's so good, though, to be on with you guys today. And many years ago, we lived in Danville, and my father and your father pastored churches there in Danville. So this has certainly come full circle for us. And it's such an honor to be with you here today, and just looking forward to sharing the word with you all and discussing it here today on your podcast. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. So again, the topic today is about the Red Sea and how it can block you from your promised land or moving it forward. So just to give you a little bit about the Red Sea, like in the Bible, the Israel people was camping by the Red Sea, and the Pharaoh finally let the people of Israel go, and he had enough because you had the 10 plagues, and he finally I had enough, y'all leave. And so why the Israel people was camping, Pharaoh finally and his man finally came to his senses. He's like, man, what did I just do? I just let all these people go. I mean, because at that time, Israel was slaves to Egypt, and they working for free, and that was free labor. And then all of a sudden, Pharaoh was like, I can't believe I just let these people go. And so what he did was he got his 600 chariots and his best soldiers, and they went after the people of Israel. And so and then all of a sudden the Israelites looked up and they saw Pharaoh man's coming, and how they just went crazy and started telling Moses, why did you take us out of Egypt and things like that. But the problem was the Red Sea was in front of them, and it was blocking them. And they had to get through the Red Sea to get to the promised land. And so Pastor Tim, we're gonna start with the first question here. How do a person view themselves when they don't overcome their Red Sea?
Yeah, the temptation, of course, is to view oneself as a failure when you don't overcome your Red Sea, that obstacle, that barrier between you and the promised land, the vision, the dream that God has for you. But the important thing to remember is just because you fail doesn't make you a failure. And that is so important. We all fail, we all mess up, but that doesn't mean we're mess ups. It doesn't mean we're failures. I'm thinking about, the GOAT in basketball, Michael Jeffrey Jordan.
Oh,
If we
yeah.
can talk some basketball here. Think about it this way, guys. There probably, in my humble opinion, has never been a better basketball player than Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
But Michael Jordan, as many shots as he made, missed more shots than he made. As many, he won 6 championships, but he didn't play in more championships than he played in. So it's all about, hey, just because you fail, just because you don't make the shot, just because you don't make the tournament, the championship, doesn't make you a failure. You keep trying, you keep getting up. And that was really the key to, of course, Michael Jordan's success. Is he, and people that know him would certainly testify, every person that knew him testified, he worked harder than anybody. He practiced longer than anybody. He ran farther and lifted more than anybody. And it came at a great price. And the temptation is to, see yourself as a failure, but hey, you're not a failure. Get up, keep going, keep pursuing your promised land.
And that's a great thing to say, Pastor Tim. You have to keep going. You got to pursue your promised land
Yeah,
because it's so easy to give up.
absolutely.
So easy to give up.
Yeah.
But I have another question here. What obstacles causes people not to overcome their Red Sea?
Yeah, the temptation, of course, is, or I should say, the opposition, of course. Whenever a person sets out to leave their current condition for a future position, the enemy will send a Red Sea,
Yes.
which is symbolic of an obstacle or a prohibition, a barrier between them and their dream, their vision, their plan, their purpose in life. And so, of course, the enemy kind of knows better than us sometimes what our weakness is and what will get us. But opposition comes in lots of different forms. It could certainly be obviously temptation. It could be discouragement. It could be doubt. It could be things like persecution, abuse. Here's a big one: poor self-esteem or poor self-image.
That's
That
true.
was really a big part of the Egyptians. Is they just saw themselves as mice in front of these men, and they were filled with fear. And that's probably the number one obstacle, by the way, that the enemy does give us and send our way is fear. And fear will keep us in Egypt. Fear will keep us from pursuing the promised land. In fact, as Duraku was saying, when the children of Israel left Egypt for the promised land, they came to the Red Sea, and boy, they were afraid. They were fearful. They were about ready to kill Moses. They were like, what'd you do leading us out here? We were better back in Egypt, working as slaves. And so that Red Sea, seemed to be an insurmountable object. And of course, that is different for all of us. What one person thinks is no big deal, the next person thinks is a big deal.
Yeah,
That's
that's
true.
true.
And so, regardless, we can expect obstacles. I'm reminded of what Jesus said in John 16:33. He said, in this world, you'll have trouble or tribulation, but
Mhm.
be of good cheer. I've overcome the world. So Red Seas are going to come for all of us. All of us are going to, come across the Red Sea. The only way, I can say this though, the only way people will not encounter a Red Sea in life, there is a way to do it. And that is this: do nothing.
Oh,
Just
Oh,
absolutely do nothing.
yes.
Just
Yes.
stay where you are. Stay in Egypt. Stay a slave to the Satan. Stay right where you're at. Don't try anything for God. Don't move out. Don't attempt anything. And, don't change. Don't go forward. And if you just stay right where you're at, you'll never face a Red Sea, but you'll never taste the produce and prosperity of the promised land.
that's true.
That's true.
I mean, I definitely can relate to that. And I was just talking to Pastor Tim. We've been doing a series about moving forward, and I look at my 2021, 2020 year. I just was in a standstill, and then once we started doing that series moving forward, I was like, I have to move forward. And then when my Pastor Tim was we explaining like obstacles, when when obstacles come your way, you moving forward. But it's what you do when the obstacles come your way. You just got to keep moving forward.
Yeah.
All right. So the next question: what kind of mindset a person needs when overcoming their Red Sea?
Boy, mindset is important. Whenever a person seeks to leave the lowlands of Egypt for the highlands of the promised land, you've got to have a positive mindset. I mean, you've got to believe that you can defeat anything the devil sends your way, and specifically trust God and believe that with God all things are possible, and that through Christ you can do all things. Philippians 4:13. A person must also believe that God goes with them and God goes before them. I mean, you're not alone. That's one of the greatest promises in the Word of God is God will never leave us or forsake us.
That's
And
true.
where God leads, and where God guides, he provides. And it's interesting. God's the one that was leading Moses and leading the children of Israel. And, everybody loves having a testimony, a testimony of victory and testimony of triumph. I mean, we all shout about that. But what we don't know is, in order to have a testimony, you got to have a test.
Wow.
Yeah.
Every dance of victory, every shout of triumph is a shout of overcoming a trial, overcoming a Red Sea. And Duraco's heard me say this numerous times, but it's so true. And so I'm going to repeat it here. You know what a testimony is without a test? It's just a moaning. And people just moan around. People moan and moan and moan around. But when you overcome the test, when you overcome the Red Sea, that's when you've got a testimony of victory and triumph. And in order to do that, you got to believe that God's with you, God's going before you, and with God, all things are possible.
Another thing I want to say, it does come down to the mindset. If you have a negative mindset and you look yourself in the mirror and all you see all your failures, of course, you're not going to pursue you're not going to pursue what's on the other side of the Red Sea, your promised land. But if you have the mindset, hey, I know, it might take a little beating, a little bit, I might get knocked down, my friends might talk about me, one thing I want to say, when you are going towards your goals, your friends will be the first people who will put you down.
Yeah.
So you need to keep that in mind. So it's all
sometimes family.
It comes down to the mindset. So I have another question here. Can you give a sample when you had to overcome a Red Sea?
Absolutely. I mean, my land, you should see all the scars on my back and body from and here's the thing too, there's lots of obstacles and lots of Red Seas that we make and encounter in life. And one that just recently we're in the process of overcoming is in regards to the vision and mission of our church to expand our ministry and expand our building and reach more people for Christ. And we purchased the building 4 years ago with the hopes of, renovating it and expanding into it. And it just didn't happen. I mean, we came across obstacles. We came across Red Seas. We came across betrayal and attacks and just, lots of different things. And, but we kept believing, we kept trusting, we kept praying, we kept striving, we kept serving, we kept giving, we kept doing the things that, we knew God wanted us to do as we went forward. And now the church is packed out on Sunday
That's
mornings. The parking lot is overflowing. And we're in the midst of raising, hundreds of thousands of dollars for what we call phase 2, the phase 2 build out. And that is coming to pass literally as we speak here today. People are giving, people are responding, and that obstacle, that Red Sea, is being defeated in Jesus' name. And so, again, it might not happen overnight. That was the whole point for us. It took 4 years. We thought we were going to do it the first year, and then the second year, third year, and here we are 4 years into it. And we're like, whoa. And so I just want to encourage somebody out there, just because, the Red Sea hasn't parted yet, just because your miracle hasn't manifested yet, doesn't mean it won't. And you just keep doing the right thing, keep believing, keep loving God, keep worshiping, keep serving, and keep pursuing your dream, your vision, your goal. And I learned this principle a long time ago with the Lord, and that was this: we'll win if we don't quit.
Yeah.
We'll win if we don't quit. I mean, all God ever did was win. Every battle that the enemy fought with God, he lost. I mean, the God is, 1,000 and 0, and the devil's 0 and 1,000. I mean, it just, you know, the enemy wants us to quit because he knows that's the only way we're defeated. If we just keep getting up, if we keep pursuing, if we keep going forward, we'll win if we don't quit.
And definitely, Pastor Tim, when you was talking about Michael Jordan, when I remember I heard the story when he was cut in high school.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan could easily say, you know what, I'm done. I mean, how you know, he could have went into the victim role, like, how the nerve you cut me, and just quit and walked away from basketball. But what did Michael Jordan do? He picked himself up and he kept practicing hard, lifting weights, whatever he had to do to make the team next year. And that's what he did. And now look at Michael Jordan now. I mean, if he would have just quit in high school, we would never heard of Michael Jordan. There would be no Michael Jordan shoes, no Michael Jordan. People would be drinking Gatorade or whatever.
Wheaties.
Yeah, Wheaties. You know? I mean, just imagine if he decided just to quit when he was in high school.
Yes.
I mean, and I definitely can relate. And especially I was talking about 2020, and especially 2020, it was a hard year for me. I mean, it was a hard year. The devil was beating me down. Yeah. But I'm very thankful that especially with this series talking about moving forward, my mindset was like, Rocco, pick yourself up and keep moving. Yeah. And you know, obstacles, especially when you know obstacles are gonna come your way, it's gonna happen. Good example, when I used to do the hurdles. And my coach told me, the way you know if you want to do the hurdles, the 110, he said, when you finally fall, if you get up and you still want to run, that's when you know you want to. I remember my very first race, I was going over hurdles, I tripped over the third one. And I got up so angry, and I finished the race. And coach is like, do you want to quit? I was like, no, I ain't quitting. And coach is like, okay, now I know you actually want to run. And so, Pastor Tim, I just want to definitely thank you for coming on our podcast today. This is definitely an honor for me. You know, the church, you know, you pastor of the Tabernacle, the Tab, and you my pastor, and you definitely have helped me out a lot of growing spiritually. And you got anything else to say, Rico?
I just want to say one thing about Michael Jordan when he got cut from I think that was his sophomore year from the varsity team.
I think so, yeah.
Okay, you need to realize one thing was when he got cut, he didn't stay there. He had to go through the process of growing and working on his skills, his talent, his strength, and also he had to grow as a person. Because sometimes when you get to a Red Sea, and you might not be able to go to the Red Sea because the person you are at that moment cannot handle what's going to happen when you get to the promised land.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes it's a reason why you at a standstill, because you are not the person you need to be to handle the promised land. Yeah. So just keep that in mind, because everything is a process. So don't quit. And understand, hey, I got to go through this process to handle what's on the other side of that Red Sea.
That's true. And I'm glad you brought that up. People who will be watching this podcast, I just want to thank you for watching us today. Once you watch the video, hit the like button, hit the notification, hit the bell so you can receive other videos, and please leave a comment. We just want to know what you think about this topic today about the Red Sea, and we just thank you, and thank you, and God bless.
Thank you.
Peace.